Dogs, the show where we try to get you guys some extra value on your bets, give you some underdog picks for the day. And as always, we'll start with the recap from yesterday. We went 1-3 with our picks, and obviously the Rockets game getting canceled due to the NBA protests. But what hurts the most is the way that we lost our games. I know it sounds easy to say it should have been 4-0, but in this case, probably really should have been. The Royals versus the Cardinals. The Royals had a lead. And then, of course, the Cardinals go in and score 4 runs in the 9th inning and take the win. We had the Mets -2 versus the Marlins, and with DeGrom on the mound. And that was a 4-1 game entering the 8th inning, and then that lead got blown. DeGrom lost his win. He should really get out of town, but that's a different story. But yeah, 4-1 lead entering the 8th. Probably should have won that one as well. And then also with the Twins versus the Indians scored 3 runs in the 8th to take the game. So yeah, three tough games. And also our only win, the Rockies, +125. Rockies had a big lead and almost blew it in the 9th inning as well. So yeah, it's never great to lose bets, but especially when you have a multi-run lead entering the 8th and 9th innings, you expect to win those. But regardless, that's the world of sports. So 1-3 day, we're still just about 500 on the week. I've also hit some pretty decently sized dogs. So, we'll hopefully get a little bit back on track today. And I'll start with an NBA game. Obviously, we have no idea if these games are going to be played or not. Apparently, there's meetings going on literally right now. Apparently started 2 minutes ago with the NBA players talking about what they're going to do. Woj has recently just tweeted within the last half hour that several key Lakers, so I assume that means LeBron, along with some others, do want to finish the season. So we'll see what happens. But I have a feeling that the games will not be played today, maybe later on in the weekend. But if they do play, I do like the Nuggets at +110 versus the Jazz. Jamal Murray has been going off lately. Last 2 games, he's got 92 points, 19 rebounds, 15 assists, and the most impressive part is the 0 turnovers. So he's had a crazy back-to-back games, and I think that he keeps it up. I think this is a very even series. I think the Nuggets are a slightly better team. They were favored to win the series when it opened, but now the Jazz have a 3-2 lead. I could very well see this series going 7. So I do like the Nuggets in this spot as a very slight underdog at +110. But then again, I have a feeling this game won't be played, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I do like the Nuggets in this spot if the game does happen. And moving on into the MLB, I'm going with the Rockies once again, 3rd day in a row. They've hit for me the last 2. And they're still underdogs, so I'll play it. We got Kyle Freeland on the mound for the Rockies, 2-1, just about a 2.9 ERA and a 1.12 WHIP, versus Zach Gallen, who has no wins or losses on the record this year, but does have a pretty good 2.25 ERA and a 1.06 WHIP. So the pitching numbers are pretty even here. I don't see a crazy edge in either direction, but the one thing that is interesting in this game is the fact that the Diamondbacks have been struggling pretty badly against left-handed pitchers. In the last 2 weeks, the Diamondbacks are 29th in OPS versus left-handed pitching, and also on the season they're not very good either. I have their splits on screen right now. They hit about 228 compared to 247, and also their on-base percentage and slugging are down against lefties. And also besides that, I still think the Rockies are the better team. I've been saying it every day. But the Rockies are top 5 in batting average in the league, and they also have the straight-up advantage over the Diamondbacks in pretty much every stat category. Runs, hits, home runs, on-base percentage, slugging, team ERA, team WHIP, pretty much everything. They really are just the better team, and I've hit them twice in a row as underdogs. Hopefully, make it 3 in a row with this one. as they were my best bet of the day yesterday, and I think they're probably the best bet of the day again today. So we'll look for the Rockies to make it 3 in a row for us. And the next game is the Orioles plus 160 versus the Rays. If you guys remember my shows last week, I went with the Orioles 3 days in a row, and they lost every time. So definitely tail this one with caution. But I think the Orioles have served their time in the doghouse, and I'm ready to roll with them again today. But you got John Means on the mound, who's 0-2 with a 10.13 ERA and a 1.31 WHIP, and Ryan Yarbrough for the Rays, who's 0-2 with a 4.45 ERA and 1.32 WHIP. So I know John Means' numbers look scary with a plus 10 ERA there. Definitely not great, but it is in a limited sample size. He's only thrown 10 innings and has allowed 4 home runs. So, and the Rays are middle of the pack in power hitting and slugging percentage, so I don't see a crazy advantage there. And the fact that he's only thrown 10 innings, he just had a couple of bad outings, but I think it'll definitely come back down to earth. No pitcher in the MLB should ever have a 10 ERA, so I'm sure he'll level out. But this is a left-handed pitcher versus a left-handed pitcher, so interesting to look at the trends there. The Rays' numbers are pretty much identical, depending on righties or lefties. They don't see big sway either way. But the Orioles do hit left-handed pitching very well. I have the numbers up on screen. They hit almost 280 against lefties, with almost a 340 batting or on base percentage and .541 slugging percentage. So they hit lefties just about as well as anyone in the league so far. And I'll definitely take the edge here, especially at plus 160. I think this is a lot of value. The Rays probably do have the advantage in the game overall, but I would not peg them as this big of favorites. I think plus 160 is definitely a good value on the game. So hopefully the Orioles get us out of this slump that we've been having when picking them, because obviously they have to win eventually. So hopefully today is the day. And the last pick on the slate today is I have the Pirates plus 150 versus the Cardinals, and this is in game one. One thing I will say is that I don't love picking games in doubleheaders. I don't like picking 7-inning games, but there are 4 sets of doubleheaders today, so it doesn't leave us much option elsewhere on the card. And I wanted to give you guys at least one extra pick here. So in game one of the doubleheader, I like the Pirates at plus 150. With Chad Kuhl on the mound, who's 1-1, sub-3 ERA, 1 even WHIP, versus Kwang Hyun Kim, who is 1-0 and does have pretty good numbers with the 1.7 ERA and 1.03 WHIP. So both pitchers do have pretty good numbers. You can say Kim's got a slight advantage, but neither of them have thrown many innings. Kuhl's thrown 19 when Kim has only thrown 10 innings. So the same reason that I liked Means up top. He only threw 10 innings. He had bad numbers, and Kim's only thrown 10 innings here and has good numbers, but I don't put much value into either of them with having such a small sample size. But one thing that I do want to note here is that Kuhl has allowed 6 runs this year and almost exclusively off the home run, which he's letting up 4 of those. And the interesting play here is that the Cardinals are last in the MLB in home runs. I will say that they have played the least amount of games, but if you run the numbers and do home runs per game, they're still tracking to be bottom 5 in the league if they keep up with this pace. So Kuhl seems to be prone to giving up the long ball, while the Cardinals don't hit it, don't take advantage very often. So I'm not looking too much into it there. But I will say the Pirates are bad, a hitting team, but they're exceptionally better versus left-handed pitching. You can see I have the splits up here when they're basically right at the Mendoza line at a 200 batting average against righties. They jump all the way up to 290 versus lefties. Also, you can see the on-base percentage goes up a significant amount, as well as the slugging. So, I mean, when you look for underdogs, you look for these types of trends. And I know things might be a little different in a 7-inning game. I haven't really, or not many people really have been able to get down the the trends of betting the 7 inning games. But I'll definitely look for the edge when you try to get runs early. I think starting pitching matters even more. So the Pirates can hit lefties well. Kim is a lefty. Hasn't been out there a lot this year, so I definitely think that is a play to look at. And at plus 150, it's not too bad either. And then I will go with a lean here. But as I've already said, there's a slim chance that this game gets played, if you ask me. But Celtics plus 110 versus the Raptors in the first game of that series. I do think that the Raptors are the better team, but the Clippers did look impressive. But also you could say the Sixers looked pretty bad in their first series. But I still like the Celtics in this one here. I think they look a little better right now, even if I don't think they have the better team overall. But I mean, as the odds show, it's pretty much a close game. I think it's like a 2-point favorites, something like that. But plus 110, I'll take it there versus the Raptors if the game doesn't get played. And so I'll always do the quick recap of the picks for anyone that tunes in late or, I don't know, just wants to hear them all at once. But the Nuggets at plus 110 versus the Jazz, obviously, if that game happens. But in the MLB, Rockies plus 140 for the trilogy of Rockies wins this week. Orioles plus 160 versus the Rays, trying to get a bounce back on Baltimore. And the Pirates at plus 150 in game 1 of the doubleheader. You definitely don't want to mess up and throw it in game 2 when I don't like that one nearly as much. But as always, play tail at your own risk. We are having a pretty good week here. And I think that we could close out the week on a pretty good slate here. So I will not be back tomorrow morning at 11. I will be getting ready for my show at 6 o'clock at night for the UFC preview. Pretty decent card despite not having the big names on it. But I'll obviously get more into that tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow, 6 o'clock. I'll be breaking down the whole UFC card. Giving you guys the best bets of those. And good luck with your bets as always. And thank you guys for joining me this week.